Good morning. Always struggle on day shift. I say this every time, but I'm such a night owl. Here we are. I'm excited because this week I am back on rotor. So every week we switch which asset we're on. Last week I was on the airplanes. That means that this week I'm back on the helicopter. Oh, I'm about out of my favorite bronzing drops. I like a nice base, nice and hydrated. So last week on the airplane, I actually didn't do any flights on it. And that's pretty typical because in the summer we have pretty decent weather. And that usually means that the helicopters around the state can take most of their flights without any weather issues. So we get dispatched a little bit less. And this is the part where I should probably say, I am getting ready to go to work as a flight nurse and paramedic. And this is pretty much my morning routine that I do every single day. I always get ready, put makeup on. If I do my hair or not, it depends. But this is my routine. And this is the makeup that is gonna get me through my shift. The sun is getting bright already. The perils of I want a little line and I keep messing up. And the line keeps getting bigger. So my last call I did on the helicopter was what we call a rural ECMO. But it was kind of interesting. I have another video that explains our different tiers of types of ECMO calls that we do. And we were activated for a rural ECMO, which typically means that we pick the doctor and the ECMO specialist up, who on this particular day happened to be my coworker and buddy. They all are my buddies because they're all my coworkers on the flight line. And we go to a rural hospital that has agreed to let us use their facility to cannulate a patient that EMS is bringing in cardiac arrest. But this is interesting because this patient was already in their hospital and it was coming from a hospital that we didn't really have like a preset agreement with necessarily. But they called and were like, hey, we have a patient in cardiac arrest and we kind of want your help. And so we were like, okay. And then they happened to have a doctor there that day who was able to put the patient on ECMO before we even got there. Normally our doctor cannulates, they're cannulated. They did a great job. And then we were able to take over care. And I think they call because they hear about our program. And then they also know that we have the capability of flying ECMO in a helicopter. And so they knew we'd be able to transport that patient. So that was interesting, just working with a facility I'd never worked with before in that capacity. That configuration, the doctor and ECMO specialist, they're just so fun to work with. And we always get into something when we're all on shift. Lately I've been liking to put a little pink mixed in with my concealer and kind of bring that pinky color up. Now I should probably warn you guys also that this is pretty much just a getting ready video. The first video that I posted that was like day in the life, I kind of showed start to finish of a shift. Obviously there wasn't a whole lot I could show actually taking care of a patient, so that privacy and I'm paying attention to the patient. Then I had some man comment, boring video, and I'm like, if you're not interested, I know I do my makeup, it just might be a little bit boring for you. Okay, so we have our good base on. Sometimes I go all out. So I actually use different bases. Today I used these two. They're Spurs drops and the bronzing drops, but I also like to put on a layer of vanity cream with SPF 2. I wish that I was born with nice, thick, luscious eyebrows, and I was not. And I'm a dip brow fan still. So if you guys watch my YouTube, you're going to get a little bit of insider information that I haven't really posted much anywhere else other than I've hinted at it in some lives that I've done on TikTok. But I am moving, and that's why like shelves are empty, things are getting packed up. I'm moving out of state, if that gives you guys a hint. So some big changes happening soon. Okay, we got some eyebrows. I'm going to Colorado for my cousin's wedding next week. And I'm super excited because we have an Airbnb right on this fun trout river, and I get to bring all my fly fishing stuff and go fishing. And I've been waiting. I just feel like it's been forever since I've been fly fishing. I'm so excited. I'm excited to see my cousin get married and see my whole family and my nephews. So you know what I've also been noticing lately? I have been getting super overstimulated in the mornings, and I don't know if it's just because I'm like struggling with good sleep. And I don't know why, like for breakfast, every single person had a comment about my cherries, and I was just like, let me eat my cherries. I'm like, guys, I need you to just let me eat my cherries in peace till I wake up and get some caffeine. But yeah, I think that feeling like I'm overstimulated in the morning, it might be a sign I'm not getting great sleep either. Panorama by L'Oreal. This has been my standby for a minute. I'm a bottom lash girly, and sometimes I'll take a mascara that's almost run out to do my bottom lashes. Oh my gosh, I hate when I get mascara under there. Fine. Also, it helps get the concealer out of my under eye creases. Lately, I've been using the Unreal Skin Sheer Glow Tint Hydration foundation stick. Can we get... I don't typically use a full coverage stick when I go to work. I'm gonna sweat a lot, and if I sweat it off, I'd rather not sweat off super thick makeup. So I just like something that evens out my foundation, gives decent coverage, wears well in the heat. I like to always take suggestions too if you guys have good layers that you like. I've used this religiously for years on the NARS Pure Radiant Tinted Moisturizer. Love this one. If I'm actually like not working and doing a full face of makeup, I'll use the Luminous Silk. So if you guys haven't, you should totally check out my other YouTube channel called The Crew Table. This one is very different than my personal YouTube, which I really only started posting on a ton like about a month ago. I've been so TikTok oriented for 6 years, and I've just kind of neglected my YouTube and really only used it for personal memories. But my other YouTube is where we go into EMS programs and we film with them. We make them cook a meal with us. We also have podcasts on there, which 2 recent ones were pretty good. One of them was The Dark Side of Hymns, which I love this career, but like any job, there are pros and cons, and that's where we discuss some of the cons that people experience candidly. And then the last episode we posted was about organ donation and procurement, which is very interesting. We had an organ donation and procurement specialist on to talk about how that works and clear up some misconceptions. So that's really cool, and you guys should check that out. It's The Crew Table on YouTube. There's my spiel. So I do like to do a layer of cream, then a layer of powder. Helps it stay better for the day. Oh, are we gonna stop and get a coffee this morning? We'll see. We'll see how much time we have. Pushing it a little bit today. Guys, I woke up by the grace of God today. I don't know what happened. I swore that I set multiple alarms last night before I went to bed, and apparently a little gremlin turned them off. That's good. I do love a little inner corner moment. I cannot explain how unmotivated I have been to pack, and I think it's because it's like a little bittersweet for me. I moved into this apartment during a massive transition time in my life, also post divorce and separation, and it's the first time I'd really lived alone probably since college. There was something very healing about being in this apartment by myself and being alone and doing it on my own and moving away from friends and family and everybody that I knew, and just kind of forcing myself into the unknown. There's a lot of growth on this journey here in this apartment for me, and I have absolutely loved my job here with LifeLink, the most amazing company I've literally ever worked with. Some advice that I would give as somebody who has lived through a lot of different seasons of life, a lot of changes, lots of regrets. I wished things had gone differently and they didn't, and closed beautiful chapters of my life and closed sad chapters. My advice would be just make the move. Just do it. LifeLink was my dream company that I'd always wanted to fly for. And I was in a position where I maybe wasn't actually doing the greatest mentally. And I was like, I am going to kick myself if I don't take this opportunity with this company I've always wanted to work at. Go do it. And I went up here and I knew nobody. I had no friends. And my coworkers rapidly became my good friends here. And they were amazing. I will forever be grateful for my coworkers. But yeah, bittersweet. Did we put this on? I can't remember at this point. When in doubt, put a little more on and then you can just blend it out, right? Okay, I can see it now. Ooh. Okay. I feel like your powder blush is the first thing to go when you start sweating and going about your day. Getting close. I have clothes in the washer. I need to put those in the dryer before I leave. It's always a tragedy when you put clothes in the washer and then you forget about them. I cannot stand, and I don't know why, I feel like it's usually when men do laundry. Not all men, but when you put clothes in the washer and you forget about them for too long and you put them in the dryer and they have that weird smell. Ooh, I can't stand it. And a lot of people's flight suits smell like that sometimes. They forgot and then they just throw them in the dryer anyways. I'm like, no, you need to rewash them, guys. Somebody was like, oh, you seem to really care about how you look more than being a professional. what I do right now before I get to work has nothing to do with the kind of clinician that I am. And I'm sorry, but when did women doing their makeup and wanting to look presentable mean anything negative about who they are in their career fields? Very bizarre take, in my opinion. And honestly, if I am wearing makeup, it's probably not about vanity. It's more about just feeling good, feeling better, because I don't necessarily love how I look without it. And so if it makes me feel better and more confident, maybe even a little bit of insecurity, that's my problem to deal with, and I deal with it by putting makeup on. This is what I wear. And honestly, I think sometimes the camera picks it up a lot more intense, and you have to remember when you first put makeup on, it like has to melt into your face. It does look a little stark sometimes in the beginning. Not that I have to justify it, but I do like to address that, because I just don't think we need to be correlating women wearing makeup to professionalism in 2026.